This review of Bloody Roar may contain spoilers and coarse language. If neither of those bother you, then have fun watching and enjoying this review. It's always a fascination of mine to find game series that had a lot of momentum but burned out like a star. I ask questions like how did it have all that momentum and how did it explode and die? These are questions that I asked playing Bloody Roar, and I got my answers. Bloody Roar is a 3D fighting game created by Rising, now 8 & Co, and Hudson Soft. So I got my answers why it died out. Oh, thanks Konami, I guess we'll never see this again. It was released in 1998, and it came with a lot of sequels afterwards. Until Hudson Soft went bankrupt, so yeah, it's not going to be coming back. Was it a masterpiece? Did it have the capacity to compete with its peers like Virtua Fighter and Tekken? Let's find out, starting with the story. The overarching story for this game is that every single character in it are zoanthropics. They all have the ability to shapeshift into unique animals such as lions, tigers, yet no bears. Oh my! Regardless, each character has their own reason for fighting, but in-game, there's very little to go off of who the final boss is for the game. Even the actual game manual is absent of information about it. From what I can gather online, it seems that Yugo is the main character, being the first character selected in the character selection screen and being the primary focus of the opening cinematic. His story is also tied with Gato, and they are about Yugo's father being killed. They also have to fight a giant evil company called Tylon, whose goal is to capture zoanthropes and brainwash them into military weapons. Tylon eventually falls as Hugo, Gato, Alice, and Mitsuko all collectively dab on them. Yes, I know, it says Tyron on the fucking floor. It wasn't very shocking in 1998 for a Japanese company to mistranslate something with a fucking L in it. Characters in the game having unique stories, however, is nothing new in this genre, and there are quite a few favorites of mine. I love Long's story because it seems to be a redemption arc as he's trying to come to terms with his abilities, but is ignoring them as their primal urges of killing, which made him a great assassin and why he was helping Tylon in the first place. He puts himself into a Jesus tomb and we never see him again. No, we will, don't you worry. Mitsuko's story is cute because despite her appearance, she's a mom and is trying to save her child, who is the final boss, Uriko. So she's got a much bigger connection than everyone else and saves her daughter in the end. But overall, the characters help keep the story going despite some of it lacking in-game, like the explanation of Tylon being only in character endings. Well, that's enough of the boring shit. Let's talk about the gameplay! The gameplay of Bloody Roar is where it shines the best. How can you ruin a fighting game? Well, it's actually very easy to do that, but thankfully Bloody Roar doesn't. Bloody Roar is a 3D fighting game with a very simple button layout. There's punch, kick, and beast. Punching is the normal fast jab attack and everyone can use. Kicks are the hard-hitting moves and tend to be lower moves as well. Guarding is done by holding back for highs and mids and down or down and back just for lows. And you can even guard with no inputs. If you hit up or down while guarding an attack, you'll slide out of the way, which is very helpful for long, punishing moves. As well, be careful if your back is turned because then you'll be taking double damage. Pressing both punch and kick allows for grabs, or for recovery if knocked into the air, with the downside of being unable to guard, so you better do this shit right. The game also has specific inputs like quarter circles for special moves, but there are no super moves. Not only that, but quarter circles are the most complex this game gets with specials. What makes it more complex is timing combos properly so that you can juggle opponents or just get some massive damage. So while at the base the game is great, you also have the beast ability. You have a meter on the top just under your health bar where doing successful hits or taking damage increases the bar, with damage filling it up slightly less. Upon activation, your main health bar can recover, and damage given to you also goes to your special bar. You can also use the Beast button to do a unique set of moves, bringing you up to 3 total buttons. While you're in Beast mode, your attacks do more damage and have other properties, like launchers sending opponents higher and further away from you. You can also jump higher, and you also weigh more, so launchers won't send you as high either. But when you're in said mode, you can't increase your Beast mode meter, meaning you're stuck at where you are and you need to manage that meter as best as you can. If not, you can get knocked out of being in that mode, and you have to wait a while or accumulate damage or get hit more in order for the meter to build back up. This mode changes this from being just another 3D fighter, as it adds meter management and strategy to it. Questions like, should I try to be more aggressive and fill up my bar more? Or, even though this character is already in a beast mode, can I fight them as a normal human to increase my meter higher than them? Or, of course, the biggest question being, do I have enough? Yeah, you know what, fuck it, I got this, let's go. Help make the game much more unique compared to its peers. Thanks to how well the game controls and responds to attacks, it's really great to play this game. Moving on from how great the game plays, the characters complement the gameplay just oh so well. My main man Long here is my favorite character just because of how ridiculous he is. He has a lot of knockback attacks, and he also has a concept called the combo wheel, where he can string together attacks in a really unique fashion to create brand new mix-up combos. The other thing too is a lot of his command throws are ridiculous in concept, just jumping and kicking someone in the head. Oh my gosh. My favorite thing is his low punch combos. It ends on a throw, which, to put it bluntly, is pretty awesome. I love this guy so damn much. It's as ridiculous as parrying drowning to death. Others like Yugo are good too, with Yugo having some great command throws and excellent combo potential. He can wipe a good 2/3 of your health bar away if you know how to use him. There's also Mitsuko, who is aggressive as hell and has some crazy moves like being able to ram you into the corner of the stage if you're not careful, and command throws that do a metric fuckload of damage. This game has so many wonderful moves, and the characters are, for the most part, pretty damn fun to use. While I have my preferences on character types, that isn't stopping me from saying any of the characters are bad. There's just something for everyone. What's odd though are the stages. A lot of the stages in this game just seem to be random, and you can't really pinpoint a character for them. An example being Long being Chinese, yet there's no stage that's in China. There's also a laboratory stage that's repurposed for the final boss, which is very odd. Regardless, the rest of the presentation is wonderful. There's even a ring out system if you smash the wall hard enough, or just get a kill with a lot of pushback because they are G-O-N-E. This is a great feeling kind of game. I could just keep gushing about how fucking ridiculous this game is because this game is fucking ridiculous. There's so much crazy stuff in this game that you can do, and it is just a wild ride to play. A lot of the special inputs for this game are just so flashy and over the top and just ridiculous to look at. It's just so good when you're able to get something off like that and just, oh my lord, this game is just so fun. It is such a fun fighting game. It is... I'm not even following the damn script right now. I'm just kind of like, wow, I love playing this damn game so much. It is so fucking good. Alright, so anyway, extra modes include most of the standard stuff. Training modes, survivals, devil triggers. Yeah, there's a mode called Brave Mode where hitting triangle as a beast will double your speed and do more damage. This mechanic doesn't really add all that much to the base game, and I found myself not really using it that much. But it's a fun addition if you want to try it. You can also unlock things like Big Head and Kids Mode where you play with a large head or you're just small. Same with other modifiers like No Meter Mode and Large Arm modes. Never pass down an opportunity to become swole as fuck. As well, the main options for the game are totally fine, but for some reason, autosaving is an option and it's off by default. Though if you do turn autosaving on, it will also auto-load the game, so it's usually best to just leave it on. The main extra modes in this game include the time attack, where you rush through 16 rounds of each fighter twice, progressively getting harder as it continues. Then there's survival mode, where your health doesn't recover all that much between matches, meaning you have to be very conservative and crafty with your health. And to end it all, there's practice mode, which is as the name implies. This mode is fine for what it is, but is lacking in input listings, which were starting to become commonplace around the time of this game's release. Otherwise, the controls and AI sets for what you can do are great. The graphics for Bloody Roar are where things start to get a little bit muddier. The game itself looks fine. It has simple environments, runs at 60 frames, and has very little if any slowdown that's not cinematic. Trademark. What makes it more gross are the character animations. They seem rather stiff in this game, and the characters are made of segmented parts, a problem many early 3D polygon games had. But the issue is, Bloody Roar is not an early 3D polygon game. This is a 1998 game where we figured out how to both smoothly blend animations and make polygons connected better. Though to be fair, even though the arcade game came out in 1997, they still had the ability by then to smoothly sculpt out proper 3D models. While I do appreciate the look in a modest sort of way, it is still a bit odd to go with a segmented body type design with these characters. Though I won't say it's too distracting. There's some obvious instances like shoulders looking like giant spheres, but otherwise the graphics for this game are fine. But when it comes to the CG portraits and stuff, oh man, alright. Look, this intro has a killer song, and we'll get into that, but the animation is just so stiff, off, unappealing. It's charming in a way, like how they had to shake the camera to fake movement during showing off the animal forms, but oh man, the superimposing characters into some environments. It's like they forgot to put them in there. The stiffness, freezing of the anime. Yeah, this game's computer generation, it feels like a student film. And by the late 90s, we kind of figured out how to make computer graphic stuff like that look better. Oh, it's charming for sure, but oh boy. But on the topic of that, the CG portraits used in the game are, well, they're kind of creepy. But you know what? You can set it to be what the arcade has for portraits, so yeah, that's a good recommendation. Just keep it on that. Sound is also something that has a bit more controversy with me. The music in the game itself is fine, there's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing very memorable about it. A lot of the soundtrack sounds very samey, and there are a few tracks that stand out. These exceptions being the main opening theme, the credits, the menu, and Alice, Gatto, and Fox's theme. But the rest is just so samey sounding. Uriko's theme is also one that stands out a bit, having a great intro to go with the boss fight, but overall the music it's just so samey. It's the same guitar, the same riffs, ugh. On the subject of that, you are able to actually use the arcade's original soundtrack if you want. It's something that adds variety, but it really is just about as bland as the new soundtrack. In fact, I prefer the new console one over this. Sound effects are nice and do have quite a good variety to them, but there does seem to be a few problems with them being just a little too faint. Other than that, though, they're pretty fine. I especially love the anime sword sounds that they use for biting and claw attacks. Ooh, that is some wonderful stuff. For voice acting, well, there's quite a bit. It sounds like they got some guys off the street and, oh boy, they got that to a T.
You win. Mother knows best. You win. Lucky it wasn't a full moon dinner.
That's a timeless one. So if you like cheese, this is definitely the game for you. Oh boy. Alright, so we're coming to changes. So what could I change about this game if I was given the option? Well, first thing I'd do is add a command list to the pause menu. The game is lacking in all the inputs you can do, and I had to look online to find the majority of them. Even the manual doesn't cover them all properly, which, well, that's all you had in 1998, so that wasn't very good. I'd also like to give proper introductions to characters' arcade modes, to better understand the whole story, like Mitsuko actually being Uriko's mom, which seems like something that should be explained at the beginning for her. I'd also add some better animations in the game, because while they are flashy in the main game, no denying that, they look much more stiff and odd during introductions, along with some idle animations. Without a doubt, making the introductions look better and just having some proper smoothing or scaling with speed on the animations would be fine too. There's also the issue that the game has an outstanding old look of segmented pieces connecting everyone. While I like that, having the game look like that and come out in 1998 is a bit odd. I'd smooth out the models more so they don't look specifically blocky, despite it looking appealing in my eyes. I'm pretty sure it won't cause any issues like stuff with optimization, though they probably wouldn't cause anything like that, so it would be an easier change. The introduction to, gosh, guys, this... Look, the character models for the game are fine. I'd rather just see an intro that's in-game, because at least then they could do some wacky stuff with the camera, create a few custom assets here and there and have them loaded into the background. They already did that with the arcade, so I don't know. I'd at least have the CGI intro as just a second thing, but... oh boy, wow. The music needs some severe change. I understand what they were going for with a rocking soundtrack, but having some different music styles wouldn't hurt at all. Like Long could have an oriental one, Alice could have an urban pop song, Mitsuko could have techno, or maybe not. My point is that the soundtrack is lacking in variety, despite some songs turning out fine. To add on to character-specific themes, character-specific stages would be helpful too. Would be nice to see more than what's in the game itself, despite some areas looking great. They don't make sense for where some characters are. And again, there's no stage that's intrinsically linked to a character besides Uriko for the final stage. So stages based on nationality or locale, or just in general somewhere in Thailand wouldn't hurt. And one really small detail, I'd just make it so that autosaving's on by default. Kinda weird that it isn't. Anyway, that seems about all the changes that I'd like to make to this game. Bloody Roar is a really interesting game. It's one of those games that's so close to being, like, amazing. But it's got just a few things to fix. It's honestly shocking how much this game got right because it's the first of its franchise. Usually you have to jump through some hoops to catch on. If you're at all into any fighter, specifically 3D ones like Tekken or Virtua Fighter, and especially fighting Vipers, this game is 100% up your alley. If you're also into crazy looking stuff or beating up furries, I'd recommend checking out my game too, Necrolepsy. It's an action platformer, so it's not the same genre, but it is something to keep in mind if you do like some crazy combo potential. Anyway, Bloody Roar gets a solid recommendation from me. I cannot wait to play the sequel to this one.